Hello YouTube, thank you for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying my channel. Tonight's video is going to be about sharpening a chainsaw. I'm going to show you my method of doing so, and hopefully it'll help you out in some way. Let me get the camera set up for you so you can see what we're doing, and we'll get on with the video. Thanks for watching. Alright guys, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to spin this around to where we can see both links that are lined up together. We have teeth that are pointing to the left, and the next tooth is pointing to the right, left, right, and so on all the way around the saw. But there's always two links on a chain that will be identical. They'll both be pointing either left or right. And I'm going to slide this around until I can see those two. That way I have a starting and stopping point. Let's see. Okay, here they come right here. And these both are pointing to the right hand side, so to the direction that I am standing on here. And that way I know I've made a full revolution when I get back to those. I'm going to slide those ahead just a little bit more. We're going to make sure we can keep this in view for you. So again, our doubles are right here. Okay. Now the tool I'm going to be using here, this is made by Oregon. Let's see if we can get this in the shot for us. Okay. And this is simply a chain sharpening guide. We are going to set this right down over the top of our bar. Then we can clamp it to the bar. It has on the top here, will tell me the angle the file is cutting in. This particular chain requires a 30-degree angle in order to be sharpened. So when I clamp this down on the bar, this will be running my file at a 30-degree angle. Okay, and again, it's right there. Now this little red knob here sets the depth of the file when it is resting on the chain. That way we can get sharp exactly where we need to be on our tooth on the chain here. And if you can see these, they are cut circular with this particular size file. This is a 5/32 file. And it is designed to cut exactly right into the edge of this tooth and right to the top edge of this tooth. That way, that's what makes it sharp and allows it to kick the wood off, and this is called a cross cut. But again, we're going left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay? So let's clamp this thing on here and see if we can sharpen a few teeth. Now these thumb screws here are made to hold this onto the bar as we get it tight. Now what I'm going to do, this back one we are really going to snug down. This front one, it just simply closes up these two silver guides here and holds it to the base of the chain, and that gives us a reference so we know we're sliding right along the same spot of the chain on every tooth we sharpen. Okay, and I'm going to slide up to my first double. And see if we can get this into place. Now I'm going to keep this silver right at the base of these pins, and I'm going to make sure that it's setting flush with the bar, and I'm using this bar as a straight edge to know that I am setting this in the right spot. Okay, now that I've got it, I'm simply just a little bit of pressure here to keep this tooth from turning too much in the, we want to try to hold it as still as we can without being clamped in too tight to where the chain won't roll, so we can spin it around and actually be able to sharpen the saw. Then I'm going to lift up. Now also, this little spring-loaded guy right here is a stop for the back side of the tooth. So when I slide this tooth back to here, it will set me in the same spot on every tooth on the chain. So let me get it backed up here. Okay. Now, I am setting in the same, or on the back side of the tooth there. Now I'm going to check right along the file edge and make sure that my depth is set proper. And if I need to adjust it, then this little red guy right back here is what we will adjust the height of the file with. Let me look on the opposite side and just make sure we're in the right spot. Yes, we are. Now I'm going to zoom you back a little bit, show you exactly what we have here. So again, I have this clamped using the bar as a straight edge, the bottom of the pins. This guy back here is really tight, that way it cannot move now that we have it located where we want it to be. I have the depth of the file set where it needs to be set in order to actually file this tooth properly. We want to stay right to the top edges of these teeth, and that's really all there is to it. Now, these files are made to cut in one direction, so we're going to push the file forward, sharpening the tooth, and then we're going to let the pressure off and simply drag the file back in its carriage and then put pressure on it again and slide it forward. We will do that to every tooth on facing this right hand side. We are moving from the left to the right, and then we will rotate our guide and sharpen the opposite side of the saw. Now once you get this thing set up and you're familiar with it, it normally takes about 10 minutes to sharpen a saw. And this thing does a really good job of it. So let's file our first tooth. Nice steady pressure. Then I'm going to pull this guy back. Let me zoom you back in so you can really see there. Okay. Push it across again. Nice steady pressure. And then just drag the file back, making sure that we're not trying to cut steel on the backstroke. We're just simply bringing the file back. And then pushing one more time. Then we can lift this up out of the carriage. We can inspect the tooth that we've just sharpened and see how we've done there. Now, that is really sharp. Okay, let's roll it forward. And again, if that little trigger catches down on the, just simply lift it up and roll it back. Now, let's catch another tooth here. And I am going to be looking to make sure that I am still setting in the carriage properly and that the file is just slightly above the tooth there and that we're making a good cut on that. Now I'm going to inspect the tooth. We will see how we look there. And that looks more than fine. Okay, we're going to roll around to the next one. Now again, set it down. We'll get it back here in the position. We want to make sure that we're still setting good with the gauge. And then we will pull this back across about 3 times. See if I can keep my finger out of the way so you can see it a little bit. Okay. Now, let's see if we can get a look down the edge of this. I'm going to roll this forward some. Now, this guy right here, like I said, this upper corner, this inside edge along here, and then right in the circle on this back side here. that is truly the only thing that is sawing the wood for you. These guys right here are depth gauges for this tooth. If you sharpen a chain down enough, you actually have to file these a little flat too, otherwise it won't let your cutting edge get down into the wood for you. Let me give you a side profile of that. This little guy right here, the professionals call those dogs. I simply call it a depth guide for my cutting tooth. Okay? Now, like I said, this is a newer chain, so we're not going to have to worry about that. But if you sharpen chain 3 or 4 times and you know your tooth is good and sharp for you and it's still not cutting, then that means you probably need to file your depth guide down here. Okay? Now let's do another tooth. Get this guy set back up where we can really see. This one right here. And again, if I need to, if my file is setting too deep or not deep enough here against the tooth, then I can just simply turn this red knob back here that I am currently pointing at, and that either raises your file or sets your file down a little bit. Read your instructions. This file guide is made by Oregon, and it is made for their chains as well as any other brand of chain that is on the market, as long as you know the angle right here at which you need to sharpen your chain with, and the file size. Now, this camera is probably not capable of picking this up, but every one of these chainsaw chain files will have a number stamped right up here in this upper corner for it. And this current file here is a 5/32, and that's exactly what it takes to fit into this tooth here. If you notice, that matches really well. Let me see if I can get you a better view of that. Okay, so slide it around the other way here. Let the camera focus for us. It's having a hard time picking that up. And that'll give you a view from the other side there. Okay. And like I said, you can see that this guy is just about right to the top of that. And then we're going to slide across. Nice even stroke. Push that 3 times. You can even lift it all the way up out of the carriage if you choose to. Now, I run a series of 3 on each one of my teeth. That is not imperative for you to do. That's simply my system. Then I will inspect the chain, make sure everything is sharp the way I want it, and I can go back across it. Sometimes if you've hit a nail or something, 1 or 2 teeth will require a little more sharpening than say the rest of the teeth will. So again, that's up to you. We can slide this around. We'll catch us another tooth here. Okay, now move this guy back. Again, we're going to set the carriage down in there, and it's matched perfectly. Let me see if I can give you a better angle of it this way. Really, doesn't make much of a difference for you. Okay. And then we are simply going to slide through, and we'll sharpen this tooth. All right. Now, zoom you back out here now. When I am ready to start sharpening the other side of the teeth that is pointing to the left-hand side, I will loosen this little thumb screw up underneath here. You can see this guy right here. Then I can turn this to where it is 30 degrees going the opposite direction. And I do not have to move my clamp now. It's in the right spot. Then what I can do is take these thumb screws loose right here. This is what holds the file in. So just take these two loose. Slide the file out and bring it in this other direction. Run the thumb screws back down tight. And now I'm ready to file the opposite direction for the other remaining teeth on that side. Again, I will bring this around to my double teeth that is facing the same direction, and then just simply sharpening everything on this side. We'll run one down here on this side now. Fold my solid guide up out of the way. And it looks like we are setting, I didn't get my 30-degree mark. Now be extremely careful when you're setting these. When it says 30 degrees on your chain specifications, then make absolutely sure you are sharpening this to 30 degrees. If you get that off somehow, then your saw will start cutting to one side or the other, and that's when you know you either need to sharpen the saw or you have sharpened the saw and you have put the wrong pitch on the tooth. Okay, now we're going to make 3 slides across this guy. 1. Okay. Then inspect each tooth. Again, it's a lot easier doing this in here on a nice flat table or even in a vise. You can clamp these in a vise and it helps hold the saw for you, and that way nothing's moving around. Lift my file up. Yep, we're in good shape there. Does not take a whole lot of pressure against the tooth. Just simply, I'm just making sure it fits into the tooth well, and then giving it a little bit of force as far as pushing it around. You have to be careful with these little files. They are capable of moving a lot of metal really quick, so you don't want to cut your tooth out. And you never have to go extremely deep unless you've hit something really bad. If you've broke one of these teeth, it's go ahead and replace your chain. Because if you've hit a rock, or a lot of times there's fencing in a tree that you may be sawing down, at that point it's probably not going to be worth trying to salvage the chain. You make that call when you get out there and you're looking at it and see what you need to do to sharpen. But this chain is fairly new. I'm simply getting it ready for fall because I know firewood season's here, and I want to start getting ready for wintertime. And a good sharp saw is exactly the way to do that. Okay? Now, again, I can go all the way around this. And this saw, and I have used this for several years, this file guide here. And Oregon does a really good job of explaining how to use this in their instructions. So if you purchase this guy, I think I picked this up at Lowe's for around $30. They have several different types on the market, and you are welcome to check that out. I will leave a link in the description below where you can find this at. And like I said, I definitely, it's easy to use. Once we get set up, 10 minutes, chain is sharpened, and I'm ready to go cut firewood. So let me get you turned around here one more time. And like I said, as you're cutting across these teeth, You don't have to get overly aggressive. And then do your entire chain, and then if you feel it requires a little more sharpening, go back across it again. Once these teeth start getting short, you get started cutting back into here, and again, at that point, you will already have been filing down your depth guides as well. Then start thinking about replacing your chain. These things don't last forever. However, if you keep them up out of the dirt, don't hit any rocks with it, they will, a brand new chain might cut 7 or 8 ranks of wood before you need to sharpen it. That does quite a bit of work. So I hope this video has been good for you. I hope you've learned something from it. If so, leave a comment in on the video for me, and I'll try to answer it for you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.